Hey, welcome to another attempt at a Podfic thing. This is still new to me, so please do be mindful of any stuttering and all that stuff. I'm very me, and that comes with a lot of awkwardness. So, this is an Aideku fic, meaning an Aizawa Shouta versus slash Midoriya Izuku. So I suppose I'll get right into it. This is a one-shot series, so just so you're aware. Izuku was sitting in class as his teacher, Aizawa Shouta, walked through the door, looking his usual dead tired look. Today you are going to be copying from book 3 and answering the questions as you go. I'm going to be taking a nap. Aizawa moved to the corner and curled up in his sleeping bag while the students moved to work without a sound. Izuku went through his work quickly, with a few questions he kept in mind to ask Aizawa at the end of the lesson. And next thing he knew, the bell rang, dismissing everyone. All the students, apart from Izuku, moved quickly to enjoy their lunch break while he went over to ask questions to his teacher, who was currently curled up in the corner of the room. Aizawa-sensei? Izuku called as he walked closer. Aizawa slowly unzips his sleeping bag and pokes his head out. What do you want, problem child? Well, you see, in question... Are you okay, sensei? I'm fine, he said, looking and sounding obviously ill. You don't seem fine, Izuku says, reaching down to feel Aizawa's forehead, while he glared at Izuku. And you don't feel fine either, so congratulations, you're sick. I'm fine. Go eat your lunch, problem child. Nope, you are very obviously not fine. You're taking the day off. I'm not taking no for an answer, Izuku said, with a slightly stern tone. I'm fine, Aizawa grumbled while getting out of his sleeping bag and leaning against the wall. No, you are not. Just after Izuku said that, proving his point, Aizawa goes to walk away and stumbles, luckily Izuku there to catch him. I'm fine, Aizawa insists. To that, Izuku just deadpans and raises a single eyebrow. We are taking you back to your dorm. Problem child. I will carry you if I have to. Fine, let's go to my dorm, Izuku growled. Aizawa growled while Izuku proceeded to give him one of his sunshine smiles. The walk to Aizawa's dorm was relatively quiet aside from the occasional grumble from Aizawa. There were a couple of times where Izuku had to correct Aizawa on which way they were going. Aside from they somehow made it to Aizawa's dorm without interruptions. Keys? Izuku insisted. Right, yeah, fine, Aizawa said, slightly slurred. Izuku took the keys from Aizawa and guided them inside. Do you want the sofa or do you want to go to bed? Bed. Alright, then where are we going? That door over there, and the door on the left. Izuku swiftly followed the instructions he was given and takes Aizawa to his room. As soon as they enter, Aizawa proceeds to flop face first on his bed. Sensei, I'm pretty sure taking off your scarf and capture weapon first would be a good idea, said with amusement. Well, Aizawa only made a grumble and complaint. Fine, I'll do it for you then, Izuku sighed out. He moved closer and knelt down by the side of the bed and started removing his shoes while Aizawa only sighed. Izuku got up and put his shoes by the door, then went back to find Aizawa on his back. Are you going to take off your scarf yourself, or am I going to have to do that as well? Aizawa simply takes off his capture weapon and throws it at Izuku. He quickly catches it out of reflex and lets out a small chuckle. Do you want me to keep this or do you want it on the bedside table? Izuku says jokingly. In return, Aizawa sends him a half-hearted glare before groaning and closing his eyes. Izuku walked forward briskly, putting down his capture weapon. Aside from the obvious fever, is anything hurting you? Head. Your head hurts? When was the last time you had something to drink? Aizawa looked slightly sheepish. Aizawa, when was the last time you had something to eat and drink? Izuku asked sternly. Yesterday morning. Which one? Both? Izuku sighed. Right, I'll go and get you a cold glass of water, then I'll work on the food situation. You don't have to... I don't have to do anything. I want to. And with that, Izuku left and returned a minute later with a glass of water while he placed it on the bedside table with his capture weapon. Izuku then once again left the room to look around the kitchen. He quickly decided that with what Aizawa had in, he'd make chicken noodle soup and crackers. The whole process was over in half an hour while, because of luck, Aizawa had chicken broth. I hope no one ever questions why I googled. There's brackets. It's like author's note type thing. I hope no one ever questions why I googled how long it takes to make chicken noodle soup and crackers at 1 a.m. Close brackets. Izuku got everything hastily together and put together on a tray and brings it to Aizawa. Thank you. I don't have crackers. Aizawa looks at Izuku questioningly. Oh, I made them from scratch, Izuku said brightly. I didn't know you could cook. Aizawa smiled softly. Well, Mum works a lot. Anyway, should I leave? If that's what you want. No, I'll stay. Just make sure you don't get any worse. Of course, Aizawa said, a soft smile gracing his features. It's the second chapter. As I said, it was a one-shot. So this is a different story. It was the first class of second year. Aizawa. It was the first class of the second year, but as Mr. Aizawa brought all into one training room. I think they mean all his students. He didn't. Sorry. Just give me a second to let my brain turn on. It was the first class of our second year, but Mr. Aizawa brought all of us into one training room. He didn't tell us what we were going to be doing here. He just brought us all into one room and told us to line up. So we just did just that. All lined up. Mr. Aizawa announced that we were going to be learning how to use his capture weapon. The instructions were very simple. He gave us a copy of his own capture weapon and told us to put them on, and then each person would have a shot trying to take him down with said weapon, then would leave. Then we attempted to put on the capture weapon. Most failed in putting on the weapon correctly, but that didn't stop them from trying to attempt to capture Mr. Aizawa. First went at Ayoma. I completely forgotten how to pronounce his name. Don't mind me. Who failed miserably, moaning through about how unfashionable and glittery it is. He managed to thoroughly tangle himself in his attempt to saunter out. Next was Mina. She almost immediately fell forward with a sort of giggle and awkwardly left the room. Then was Bakugo, who was always overconfident in himself and ended up blowing a hole through parts of his capture weapon and stormed out. The rest went about as well as you'd expect. The closest of all was Uraraka with her quirk making the cloth float, but she still failed, was the closest to the class, which is a feat in itself. Finally, Mr. Aizawa went to walk out of the room when seating up, my voice spoke up. Miss Aizawa-sensei, I still haven't gone. Midoriya stuttered. Fine, problem child. Try it. Aizawa said in a monotone voice while still walking away. Then suddenly it was caught in a loop of fabric and pulled backwards by his number one problem child. Aizawa-sensei, I'm so sorry. Are you hurt? Of course you're okay. How would I hurt you like that? I'm sorry. Midoriya rambled. I'm fine, Midoriya. Can you explain how you knew how to use my capture weapon? Aizawa asked, slightly irritated. Oh, it's not hard. Anyone could do it if they just watched. What do you mean, watched? Aizawa demanded. When you use your capture weapon, taking notice of how you move, it's relatively simple. Like I said, anyone could do that. Well, obviously not, problem child, if you were the only one in the class who seemed to notice. Oh, that's just because I like to analyze quirks and how different heroes fight. And your capture weapon is a big part of what you do as a hero. That's what the notebooks are for? Aizawa asked, slightly curious. Yep, I've been doing them forever. Well, from about 4. I like to know what to expect from people. Midoriya exclaimed happily despite the slightly concerning words. All right then, can I see these notebooks? If you want, there's nothing special about them. Kid, you managed to figure out how I use my capture weapon after watching me, twice? Watching me fight, twice? Alright, if that's what you really want, I guess I don't mind, Midoriya said, rubbing the back of his neck. Moving to his back out to finish out his analysis for the future notebook number 16 and handing it to Mr. Aizawa. Midoriya, get to class. Yes, sensei. This one has a suicide warning at the beginning. So, just so you know. Hey, Shouta. If you're reading this, you can probably guess what happened. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry I broke our promise. But, well, no going back now. I tried, Sho. I really tried. But I'm so tired. So tired. That's not your fault, it's my own. Please, Sho, don't blame yourself. Tell Yuri I love her. Tell her I wish I was strong enough to watch her grow up, strong enough to be there for her. And for that, I'm sorry I can't. I'm so sorry. Shouta, I know I'm not in any place to ask you of this, but Sho, please, I need you to promise to live and be there for Iri. You're an amazing dad, and I don't want that to be hurt because of me. I love you, Shouta. I love you so much, and I'm so sorry. Goodbye, Shouta. I hope to see you again, hopefully in a long time. See you on the other side. I love you, Izuku. Well, that's all. Thank you for listening. Yada yada. Not really sure how to end these, so I'm just going with this. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed.